Alrighty, it's been a month since I did my last Let's Draw, so I figured it's time for another one. I hate how I can't do these as often as I want, but I guess if I can do them at least once a month, that's good enough. Anyway, it's now February, and still excited about the new Sonic movie, and since I drew Knuckles last time, we're going to draw the main character himself. If you enjoy the video, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Give me your thoughts, opinions. Maybe if you want to see me draw something specific or someone, go ahead and just let me know down below. And whenever I have time, just whenever I have time, I'll get to it. All right, let's jump in. Okay, getting started on the Blue Blur himself. Doing this one, as I said before, because got the new Sonic movie coming out this year, the sequel to the original movie, and I've already drawn Knuckles, and I just felt it would be a little weird to draw like a secondary character and not the main character of the franchise himself. So, and who doesn't like a good Sonic Let's Draw or a good Sonic picture, apart from the dozens and dozens and dozens of creepy ones. Anyway, as always, starting with a circle, and really just circles and triangles, so for the most part. There's an oval, and his nose reminds me of an olive, I just realized.
Yeah, same.
I know hedgehogs have pointy noses, like a pointy snout, but I don't think their nose comes out like 3 inches from their face like that. So I actually can't. Yeah, I do. I know what hedgehogs look like. My brain farted for a minute. They're certainly not as lanky as Sonic is. But yeah, his nose reminds me of an olive. I had a little bit of trouble drawing this one. Not the quills in his back spines, oddly enough, but like the hands and the shoes I had a bit of trouble with. This one didn't take me as long to draw, though, oddly enough. It took about an hour, I think, overall, whereas with my other pictures, just doing the line art takes about 40 minutes, something like that. And overall, this took about an hour, so not a very long time to draw. Of course, once again, I said this with the Knuckles picture last month. The Sonic characters, the way they're designed is very simplistic, so it doesn't actually require a whole lot of detail. And because I did the Knuckles one already, I had a better idea of how to attack this particular picture right here. So, with the Knuckles one, I think that took me almost... Did that take me about an hour? I think that maybe taken, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, because of all the shading and the blurring of colors and things and the way that it came out. This one didn't have that issue. Everything went together fairly well. Like I said, the hands, I'm not, even now that it's done and I know what it looks like in the end, I'm not super confident with how the hands came out. But at the same time, how good are they supposed to look when you're doing like a cartoony style? Especially with like once again, come back to the Sonic art style. The characters are very simplistic, so there's not supposed to be a whole lot of detail in the hands and the feet, I guess. It's just they're so weirdly big.
I think that's what makes it so unique, though, is because even though you didn't do it like perfectly, I feel like that's what makes the art piece so unique, and maybe people will like it even better that way. And at the very least, too, like even if I can't recreate perfectly the art style, if you look at the movie, their feet and hands aren't super exaggerated like in the games and in the comics and things either. I mean, they're fairly large, but so was their head. And as I've mentioned with my other videos, I like to take a little bit of artistic liberty, not a whole lot, but I like to kind of put my own twist on things, if I can get away with it. And if I,
So if I want to make them like super big or super small, I kind of made the feet a lot. I kept the feet pretty big. The hands aren't super massive, but they were still a bit of a trick, as you saw, because I started on his left foot, and I realized, oh, that's not at the right angle at all. It's too high up. It's not a right good shape. And here I am starting on that foot again, because with the right foot, his hand is blocking it, so I didn't have to worry with how it looked so much as just being in the right angle. But then with this left foot, I had to start again, and it came out a lot better when I gave myself like a level to work with, and I was able to have the right perspective for that angle and make sure everything was where it needed to be, as it needed to be. So yeah, that was fun. And slightly miserable. I hate drawing hands and feet. I think a lot of artists and just people in general hate hands and feet. I don't know why. They're such simple things, but just the shape and the design of them is miserable to draw. Although some people would argue that eyes are even worse, and eyes can be a bit of trouble too, especially depending on what kind of art style you're doing, because even in something like anime, for the most part, there's a generalization with how to draw. It's like one of 2 or 3 specific styles, but with the eyes, every like anime or manga artist has their own way of drawing the eyes. There's a stereotypical way to draw them, yeah. And even like with the Sonic the Hedgehog universe, there's a specific way to draw the eyes, which, again, in the movies, which is what I'm basing this one off of, they kind of taper away from that a little bit while making things recognizable but also more realistic. So they kind of tapered away from it, but not a whole lot. And especially because I'm kind of at like a side profile here with him, I didn't have to worry about that too much, and it came out fine with the knuckles. Because again, a very simple style, and the eyes aren't too big a deal for me in regards to this franchise. Going into the coloring and the shading here, doing all like the dark areas, and I do a second layer of dark and shading in it as well. I don't know why, I just had a weird feeling about it. I wasn't super comfortable with it, because I'm not the best at shading things or putting like the right amount of dark in the right area, and I think I forgot to do light too. Of course, with the way it comes out, it looks fine without having a whole lot of highlights anywhere. But shading in like the underside of like the quills and getting in the right areas in the body, I never know if I'm doing it right, and I can look at references with how to draw shadows and shading, and I can copy it to a T, and I'll still feel like, oh, that's not right, I don't understand. There's just something that I didn't do right. But with this, I don't have time to like debate with myself if it's the right way or not, so I just kind of wing it. And I'm like, alright, that looks good. It's convincing to me, and I'm just going to blur it in the end anyway. Make sure everything blends together well enough. So, yeah. Going for that second layer of the darker under area, because I felt it was missing a little something, so I gave a little extra shading in those areas. Just in like the crevices and more like the arms and the quills, and everything meets the body. Giving that extra little depth. And I think it came out alright. Going into the ear, doing the same thing. The gloves, again, coming back to how much I despise doing hands and feet, were a pain in the ass. Those I'm pretty sure I didn't do correctly. As far as like the shading goes, I tried to do it as what I felt would be natural. And as we see, I'm already having a little bit of a struggle with getting everything in the right area. With like the fingers and stuff, it came out fine, of course, but like up on like the ruffles of his gloves, or at least what I assume are gloves, that was a bit tricky. And I say I assume they're gloves because I was looking at, because I used a picture from the movie for reference, and I was looking at the gloves, and I looked a little at like the detail. I looked a little closer. I was like, it's got like the same texture as his fur and stuff. Like, are the gloves part of his body? Because that's what they looked like. And I was like, oh, that's a weird reality. Does he just have like leprosy on his wrists? What's going on? Just excess skin or something, like what a badger or something would have? I don't know, I just thought that was weird. It's probably not the situation, but that's how it looked when I was looking at the reference photos. So that's gonna stick with me for a little while.
Shape looks really good.
Oh yeah, it looks fine. It's just that overly critical thing, or that self-criticizing that I can't help but do. I look at it and I'm just like, oh, I didn't do that right. There's something about it that's just not sitting well with me. And then I look at the finished product and I'm like, oh yeah, it looks fine, I guess. But there's always, I think that's just a common thing with artists in general. No matter what you do or how you do it, it's never going to be good enough for you. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And there it is, finished product. Little special effects there. The background's not super exciting, but I'm happy with it in the end.